morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commissioner meeting for November 29th, 2018 is now in session. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning, everyone. I'd like to make introductions. To my right is Vice President Commissioner Barb Lewis. To the left is fellow Commissioner Jeff Benton. Our clerk today is Sarah DeNova with a big smile on her face, and our Administrator Mike Fromer. With that, I believe the first order of business, we have public comment, and by rule, minutes. My apology. Go ahead.
Resolution number 18-1316, in the matter of approving the electronic record of the proceedings from regular meeting held November 26, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. Do we have a problem with the?
I think it's a clarity.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. First order of business, we have public comment.
Can you vote?
We didn't vote. I apologize.
Vote on motion 18-1316. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Okay, with that, we're at public comment. I apologize. By rule, we allow 3 speakers to speak, 4 and 3 against. And it looks like we have, if I'm correct here, we have 2 elected officials, unless I missed one. So they will be able to speak with, within a reasonable time frame. And the first 3 that I have here in front of me for to speak in favor of the Liberty Township issue, I think you're here to talk about that on EMS, is Mike Jones, Raymond Gannon, and Tom Homan. Now, if one of those 3 did not want to speak and defer to someone else, we could certainly do that. So,
Mr. Chairman, I would move to suspend Rule 4, limitations from the rules. This governs public comment before the Board of County Commissioners of Delaware County, Ohio. Is there a second to the motion? How many total do we have?
I think I said 7 or 8.
7 or 8? I mean, I would hate to cut somebody out. There aren't that many.
Well, the purpose of the rule is to manage the debate and control the debate. I'm pretty sure at some point it'll get to be redundant. I did not hear a second. So with that, we will proceed with the rules and read the 3 speakers. Again, if one of the 3 speakers chooses not to speak, we'd go to the next one in the order in which they've been submitted. And the first speaker is Mike Jones. You were starting to walk up there a while ago, so how you doing?
Good. Good morning.
Just introduce yourself, maybe give your address, please.
My name is Mike Jones. I live at 3239 Winding Woods Drive in Powell, which is in Liberty Township. Good morning, Commissioners.
I apologize. 3 minutes.
Yes.
And who's timing? So you're aware. Just so. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Not questions.
I wanted to obviously to address the EMS issue. Last November, the voters of Liberty Township, by a vote of 75% in favor and 25% against, voted to approve a renewal of a 5.6 mil levy for fire and EMS services that would raise approximately $7.9 million a year. 75 for, 25 against. Now, here in November of this year, we have apparently 2 of the trustees in Liberty Township, Ms. Mellahan and Mr. Gemperline, saying that they think that the budget needs to be cut by $4 million and that the services should be turned over to Delaware County. Now, at your meeting on Monday, Commissioner Benton commented that he was making a motion to send this to the trustees for further discussion because 2 of the trustees had asked for that discussion to take place. Commissioner Merrill commented upon being told by Ms. Lewis that he did not realize that the township trustees were meeting on Tuesday morning. At the meeting on Tuesday morning, Trustee Lenahan commented, and this was in the paper, so I assume it's correct, although I know you can't believe everything you read. She commented that she was unaware of the fact that the commissioners were going to take this action. And she also commented when queried that she was proposing this $4 million cut to the EMS and fire services budget in order to save the taxpayers money. Well, the taxpayers, from my view, they don't want to save any money. They are satisfied with the services that they have now. This is purely and totally about politics. Let there be no mistake. Ms. Lenahan wants to run for Congress again in 2020. In order to do that, she needs to portray herself as a tax-paying conservative, or tax-cutting, conservative Republican. We should not let that happen. That is not what the residents and the taxpayers of Liberty Township want. I can't imagine that the entire Delaware County population, taxpayers, want to assume a burden from Liberty Township. It's going to cost the county money in order to do that. If you approve this, and if you take these services over from Liberty Township, and if at some point in time you see the need for more funds to run the county EMS, I can tell you and assure you that I will be the first one to lead the charge against that levy. You cannot, in good conscience, sit here and say that you are in favor of keeping taxes low and then turn around and try and raise taxes by approving a levy. So I will be against it, and I'm sure there's lots of people in this room and in Liberty Township that will be against it. I thank you for your time, and I would like to disclose from a comment that I just read this morning.
Okay, go ahead.
A book called Leadership by Doris Goodwin. Perhaps you know her. Abraham Lincoln once said, "With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed." Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Johns. Okay, with that, that brings us to the second speaker, and that is Raymond Gannon.
Thank you. I'll just go ahead and read from this to make sure I get my thoughts right. I am Raymond Gannon.
Just your address and repeat your name.
Raymond Gannon, 10680 Brett Ridge Drive, Powell, Ohio.
Thank you, Raymond.
My name is Raymond Tift Gannon. I'm a resident of Liberty Township. I have voted for Barb Lewis, Melanie Lenahan, Shire Eichhorn, and Mike Gepperlein in the past. I'm satisfied with the current structure of Liberty Township EMS and fire support services. I've used them in the past. I oppose any changes that would reduce the service response times or staffing levels of these services. I would also consider myself a fiscal conservative. I appreciate the efforts to look at township expenses to maximize the effectiveness of every dollar. I appreciate that the township trustees are evaluating such things. However, I want to be known that I support the current funding model that uses taxpayer money to cover all costs of these services. I do not support any changes that result in soft billing or in any way bills users of these services after the fact. I support this taxpayer-funded model because of the experiences I and some of my neighbors have had in emergency situations. While my family has been blessed with good jobs and stable finances, I chose to drive myself to the ER with chest pain several years ago. It turned out to be a pulmonary embolism that almost killed me. I spent several days in the hospital. The reason, even though I had ample finances to pay the bills, was because I chose to drive myself to avoid the cost of the ambulance services. At that point in time, I did not realize that those costs would be covered. I believe this is a real asset to our community that prevents folks from making a poor decision in a life-threatening situation by attempting to save a few $100s. I do believe that whether or not somebody has ample finances or not, in those types of situations, you're not clear thinking, and sometimes you make foolish decisions, as I did myself, putting my life and my family's stability in jeopardy several years ago. If the trustees and commissioners choose to continue investigating the consolidation of Delaware County and Liberty Township EMS fire services, then this process must be changed to allow for more lengthy time for community feedback. There's significant amounts of misinformation and misunderstanding occurring. A large number of constituents do not have an understanding as to what's going on or what's being considered, and do not feel that they have ample information to decide whether or not they support or do not support these measures. Preferably, an issue this contentious will be voted on directly by constituents in the next election, and there will be clear communication of any savings or service level changes associated with these changes by consolidating services. I've taken the time to speak to many of my neighbors, admittedly, those just in my neighborhood, not all of Powell or Liberty Township. I do believe that my opinions that I am speaking here reflect the majority of the opinions of people within the neighborhoods. That being said, thank you for your time. I appreciate you looking at this.
Thank you, Mr. Gannon. You made some comments regarding soft building. I'll try to mention that later because I think there's a misunderstanding. So I'll mention it later in my comments just to clarify.
It would be accurate to say there's ample confusion.
I think that's probably true in a lot of areas. Thank you very much. Now, the third speaker, although you're, Mr. Holman, you're not in the Liberty area, but you're down to speak. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Homan, Delaware City Manager. I'm not here today to weigh in on the particulars of what's being considered between Liberty Township and the county, but I'm here because I think it underscores a larger concern and issue that has been debated in these chambers for years, and that is really the appropriate way to provide countywide EMS in a growing county where you have a lot of communities that are duly staffed, where you have both Liberty Township, City of Delaware have long had jointly staffed fire and EMS. And I hesitate to obviously get into the particulars of that issue between Liberty and Delaware. I do want to say that I think there has been some consideration by this board to take a look at this at a countywide level. I think that was indicated earlier by the mayor of Powell. I think to the extent that you are going to consider something on a countywide level, a committee, a task force, or something like that, the city would be interested in being part of that. I also want to point out that Lucas County, and I've mentioned this before, I think to all of the commissioners in conversations, Lucas County has dealt with this issue and has come up with, I think, a way to appropriately address it. They deal with townships, they deal with the city of Oregon, they deal with the city of Toledo in how to provide a countywide service with countywide protocols, with countywide standards. And I think that's one of the issues that I've heard is the need to take a look at that. And I think the Lucas County model is one that merits consideration, but I'm not sure that what the best way to approach that would be. I was part of an alliance made up of townships, Genoa Township, Liberty Township, Orange Township, who had made a proposal to Delaware County Commissioner several years ago regarding the funding model. Commissioner Benton has undertaken his review of this issue. There's no shortage of studies out there of how to approach this. But I really think it underscores, in my opinion, a system that, a funding system that was established back when this county was much more rural, and you now have urbanizing townships that are essentially providing the same kinds of services that cities are in terms of fire and EMS. And how do you graft a countywide system on that without lowering the level of service? And I think that's obviously what you're trying to do here, what you're looking at perhaps with Liberty Township. And unfortunately, you've I think found out that it's the third rail of, one of the third rails of local government, and that is when you deal with fire and EMS, obviously it's a very, very emotional issue, but it's also one that I think needs to be studied carefully, and we would be willing to be part of any kind of a commission that you put together, because I think we have a lot to bring to the table. We assisted with actually the formation of the program back in the early 70s. So with that, I can't stay for the meeting, but I appreciate your consideration.
Conceivably, one more person speak.
Okay.
You go with that?
Yes, thank you.
Every person speaks just thank you. I apologize. Since Tom Holman really didn't represent Liberty Township, and out of the issue of fairness, I'm going to go, and I just asked the other two commissioners were they comfortable with it. I'm going to go to the next person that filled out the form and allow that person to speak as well, and that is it Coleco Clark? Shalako Clark? Sorry, if I butchered your name, my apologies.
I think he's used to it.
Huh?
I think he's used to it.
Probably.
So,
Who's next on the list, please?
okay, hang on. It's Scott Simmons.
Okay, I'm actually a resident of Delaware County, northern Delaware County. I would just like, I'm not
Well-
in the Liberty Township situation. I am a northern
You want to
Delaware.
defer to the next person on the list, or do you want to speak?
How are you guys going to structure that? Is it
We're
just
going to allow one more person to speak.
Okay.
If you want that to be you or whoever's next on the list. And that would be Scott Simmons.
Who's after Scott? Because I'm going to defer to Scott and let him make
Okay,
it.
Scott? I didn't know it was going to turn into a, are you speaking or not? Who's next?
I think there's a lady who wants to.
Les Wibberly? Mr. Wibberly?
Because I think the points that I was going to make have already been covered.
Okay. And that's frankly, that's one of the reasons we have the three, so we're not redundant. And on the issue of fairness, it was my suggestion to do a fourth. I didn't know we were going to be passing it on down the line, but, so you have no interest in speaking?
No, I think the points that I had have been covered adequately.
Okay, Marie, is it Folmer, F-O-L-M-E-R?
I was going to keep this short, but I think I will take the time. I'll go through what I actually wrote for the interest of the team. I'm Marie Fulmer, 8701 Albury Court. I'm the mother of a 9-year-old medical miracle. Lila was born with congenital birth abnormalities that have only been seen in 5 to 6 children every 10 years worldwide. We never expected Lila to reach her first birthday, but God's grace, she had her 9th birthday this past August. I attribute her survival and my family's survival to a number of factors: my family, friends, great Ohio hospitals and surgeons, nurses, teachers, and the overall community. Without the Liberty Township firemen and EMS, I'm not sure my husband and I what we would have done, but I can tell you for firsthand my daughter would not be alive. Although I could share many emergency scenarios that happened in my home with Lila, I want to share at least one to convey what happens in real-life emergencies and the importance of firemen and EMS that know our families and our children. One evening, Lila was in respiratory failure, and the CO2 from her blood caused her to go blind. She wasn't able to see me, and she was yelling out, "Mommy, I can't see you." I panicked, as any mother would in the situation, and I literally thought I was losing her in front of me. The firemen were there. They stepped in and administered great care and rushed her to Children's. Although my husband and I are her primary defenders, it takes a team. And for us, the fire department and EMS teams and their familiar faces and their experience is what this community needs. They're not strangers that make random calls. These are men and women that we see around our community, at community events, in our homes, and involved in our lives. We know them personally, we trust them, we take action to understand our needs. This takes time and time to build trust and to learn. This is not a one-size-fits-all, and I'm concerned you're all missing that point. You can't say the services will be the same. It never will be, no matter what proposal you devise. You need to understand that what we have built in PAL is rare, and no matter what you do, it's benefiting the population as a whole. Not all services the same, and it won't be. The EMS team we have view PAL and Liberty Township as their own and their families to protect. That's why I love this community, and that's what makes this a great township. Before I brought Lila home from months in the hospital, the firemen in Liberty Township took protective action and caring hearts to take their time to educate each other on Lila and her physical condition. In partnership with Children's Hospital, they organized an education session about Lila, started the special needs registry, and even brainstormed ideas for life flighting her from a helicopter from my front yard. I knew at that moment we would be safe and that I would get through the years with their help. Their response time has been impeccable. When you are acutely aware that brain death occurs in 4 minutes due to a lack of oxygen, and your child only has one highly abnormal lung with regular respiratory failure issues, every second counts. I can tell you I hear the sirens and can judge exactly how far away they are from my home. But the fact that I know that we have local stations that provides the peace that keeps me going. I would like to end with a statement that Melanie, you made the other day. And I'm skipping some of my statement. But I think this is important. You asked me, what do you want, a fire station on any corner, or do you want the money back? My response at the time was, if that's what it takes to support our growing town and the taxpayers support the need, then yes. In reality, I would put using my money on the community safety any day of the week. Finally, I asked you why the commissioners would move forward with the motion without Barb Lewis aware, and you directly said to me, they just ignore her. Barb, I wanted to go on record with that for the public. That's the sentiment of our trustees. Please understand that our community understands that this was calculated by a few, isn't in our best interest, and we will not forget if this action proceeds. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We have, unless I have misplaced one, we have 2 elected officials who have asked to speak. They're given a little more flexibility time-wise, but within reason. I'd say try to keep it to 3 to 5 minutes, and 3 if you can. And based on the submission, who submitted first, that's how we would determine it. Melanie Linehan.
Thank you, Commissioners. I want to open by stating that the last comment that Ms. Fulmer made is a bold-faced lie. I never, ever, I want to say that I never, ever said that they just ignore Barb Lewis.
Okay, wait a second, guys. First
Just
of
so you
all,
know.
no personal comments.
Thank you.
No personal comments.
Okay, I'd like to start my time with a question for Commissioner Lewis. What is it about Delaware County EMS service that makes it inferior to Liberty Township EMS service? Not fire service, EMS service. I have not been provided any factual information on how Delaware County EMS is inferior to any other EMS service in the county, but rather the contrary. But most importantly, if Delaware County EMS, which is the only EMS provider for 13 of the 18 townships in your county, is less qualified to deliver EMS services in Liberty Township, why haven't you done anything about it? I'm told that you have never had a meeting with Chief Schuling, the Delaware County EMS chief, to discuss how it can be better, and you've been a commissioner for 4 years. I think it's important to acknowledge and stress that the residents of Delaware County voted to increase the sales tax to fund a county-wide EMS system. They've already voted on that and said that that's what they wanted. That was countywide. Countywide EMS was voted for the residents that you represent. They said that's what they wanted. So if you think it should be better, I'm just stunned that you haven't done anything about it. And we can only assume that you agree that Delaware County EMS provides exemplary services, because if you didn't, you would be obligated to do something about it, and you haven't. So as a trustee, out of respect for you, I automatically assume that your assessment of Delaware County EMS is that the department is beyond reproach and doing an amazing job. So in Liberty Township, as a trustee, I've always tried and continue to achieve improving service levels while maintaining or lowering taxes. That was and has always been my promise, and that's why we're strongly considering what the county is willing to do. And in government, more often than not, there are a lot of opportunities to do that, because traditionally government operates in a fragmented way and inefficiently, and they can be wasteful. So I see partnering with the county for EMS services as a win-win for both the whole county and our part of the county, Liberty Township. I see significant opportunities to improve service levels, not just for Liberty Township, but for everyone who relies on Delaware County EMS. The savings appear to be rather significant, but irrelevant if the service levels decrease, which I, for one, do not anticipate, but have every intention of being assured of before making any permanent changes. Savings will be recognized, I imagine, through improved economies of scale, a more efficient business model, and, of course, the elimination of Liberty Township residents being double taxed. Most of the people I talk to regarding this matter, honestly, they see it as a no-brainer, and they're not interested in being double taxed anymore. Through partnering with Delaware County, the taxpayers of Liberty Township alone will have the opportunity to keep at least another $3 million in their pockets that they can spend on their families and in our local businesses. I've heard a number of talking points against this partnership, but I have yet to hear one that is substantiated by facts. I've heard a lot of emotional concerns, which I do not disregard, which are absolutely, it will be factored into any decisions that I make. The Liberty Township Board of Trustees has requested a proposal from the county commissioners to outline and describe how the county intends to service our township. I viewed the video of the November 27th, the Tuesday morning commissioners meeting, and was very confused by Commissioner Lewis's suggestion that Liberty Township is supposed to come to you and tell you what you're going to do, tell you how you're going to run your department, how you're going to budget your money, and how you're going to staff your people. And I would see that as suggesting that my power supersedes yours, and it doesn't, because this is your department that you oversee. So I don't understand why I would tell you. You know, with the sheriff's department, the sheriff, which provides us our safety services in Liberty Township, he tells us what he's going to do. It's your budget, it's his budget. And he tells us how he's going to protect our citizens, and we have accepted that level of protection, or we'd have our own. Because we're satisfied with our safety services from the county and the sheriff's department. I see countywide EMS as no different. And I believe that proper protocol is to ask you to give us a proposal of how you would intend to operate your department in our township. So not to say that we can't work together if there were issues on that proposal, but I believe that it starts with your plan. So I look forward to receiving that proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just don't send it. Nobody here wants it.
Please. The next speaker is John Benhoff.
Good morning.
John, give your address.
Yeah, I will.
I apologize.
It's in here. It's in my...
Okay. I thought you were going into your comments. I tried to stop you.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak as a concerned resident of Liberty Township. I'm John Benioff, 3974 Village Club Drive, Powell, Ohio, Liberty Township, Delaware County. I'm not here as the mayor of Powell. However, as the mayor of Powell, I swore an oath to protect and defend the health, safety, and welfare of the community in which I live. I take that oath seriously, and I know that you do as well. Before I continue with my prepared remarks, I'd like to say I have no axe to grind. I'm going to make a few points here, and I'm going to stress my concern for analysis before action, and that we put the right team in place to do some analysis, and that'll be my closing bid. The township recently and overwhelmingly, not that recently, passed a levy to fund the Liberty Township Fire and EMS with, I'm going to correct someone here, 74.79% in favor of the renewal. That strong statement of support for our EMS should not be ignored. It needs to be noted that this support includes the City of Powell population, which is almost 50% of the population of the township. The City of Powell's borders, for the most part, lie within the borders of Liberty Township. All residents of Powell are voting residents of Liberty Township. The strategy to absorb Liberty Township EMS into the Delaware County EMS must plan on covering a not insignificantly larger, more densely populated service area, while staffing at least 2 more county EMS stations, the existing Liberty Township fire stations. All of this while resourcing 15 to 18 EMS staff. Where would those layoffs occur? Deductive logic could only lead one to, if the township's going to save $4 million a year, those layoffs must be in the Liberty Township Fire Department. I said at least 2 more EMS stations with purpose. The proposal that is or is about to be offered to Liberty Township is a targeted proposal which is for now seemingly ignoring all other independent EMS services. This is not instituting a county-wide solution. and is short-sighted if the objective is to overtake all the independent EMS services, solutioning a county-wide issue. I submit there are no and low-cost solutions that raise all boats, but I'll get to that. I was going to address the quality of service, but I know that we will not come to an agreement on this point, and it's better left to the professionals to articulate, document, and report back. I will state that 15% of Liberty Township EMS runs are level 1 and level 2 trauma runs which are cardiac and stroke victims. These are life-threatening events. These situations and these types of trauma demand higher levels of attention. Additionally, speaking of certification and level of training, the Liberty Township Fire and EMS are trained, outfitted, and practiced in deep water rescue, active shooter rescue, and are flight EMS trained, which means the Liberty Township EMS are trained and rehearsed to set up as well as protect a helicopter landing zone and assist getting the patient onto equipment for the helicopter and into the helicopter. Prior to the 2012 failed fire and EMS levy in the township, the Liberty Township Fire Department ran with 4 apparatus on each run. Afterwards, due to the restructuring necessitated by the negative impact, Liberty Township Fire Department now responds with 3 apparatus. Due to the previously mentioned layoffs, the level of staffing in Liberty Township Fire personnel will be cut in half, necessitating a reduction from the currently 3 fire truck staff down to 2. As population increases, this reduction of availability of equipment from 4 to 3 to 2 will risk lives. If Liberty Township Fire can't support an incident, resources from another jurisdiction will have to be leveraged, causing additional strain on the overall system. This is the point that Trustee Icorn was making about the depletion of services to the community, which would lead to an increase in the ISO rating, resulting in an increase for each and every homeowner's insurance. Making it personal, that increase in homeowners insurance will significantly overshadow the $47.91 a month that my homeowner's real estate tax contributes to Liberty Township Fire and EMS, and what happens with that recently passed levy renewal. Many of us here are public servants. We have a responsibility and a sworn oath to the public we serve. We owe our position of responsibility to the constituents who voted us into these positions, as well as those that did not. Our commitment is to all of our constituents. Additionally, while the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the difficult first hard 5 miles along Sawmill Parkway, we cannot resolve a county-wide issue in pieces. We need to look at the entire system with all of the costs, benefits, and challenges. A systems approach, something I'm very familiar with. I submit the solution can be a combination of independent EMS partners with the overarching county system. Many of the pieces are in place. County-wide 911 dispatch is in place. A county EMS solution is in place and effective for a large segment of the county. Independent EMS services are funded by their local constituents and in place in higher population density areas. I personally think this coordinated system works well, and while it may have areas for improvement, those areas are not insurmountable, nor are they significant. Mutual aid is in place. Nearest dispatch is in place for advanced life support issues. I continue to believe that a task force of the experts should review the Fitch report again, and with the assistance of a business perspective, analyze the puts and takes to find the small movements that can make big improvements in the overall service. The recommendation that I made for a task force was considered at the last time I was here, but it was not dismissed. I was surprised and disappointed that this body moved forward in advance of resolving the differences with my suggested committee composition. I would tell you that there is overwhelming support for a task force approach to analyze the county EMS situation. I submit that it is not too late to put some group together to do the aforementioned. In fact, I challenge us to take no definitive measures without that analysis. In my business life, I never took a recommendation forward that did not have a solid analysis behind it. I've challenged multiple higher-level executives, including CEOs and CIOs of a large Fortune 100 company that I work for. You'll have to look at my LinkedIn to find out who that is, to rethink positions and strategies that I observed to be short-sighted. I stand still, ready to revisit the task force concept, and I fervently hope that we can come together for that action and let a body of concerned, involved experts, including at least some of the people I suggested, be nominated and confirmed by this body to do just that. I have a revised composition if anyone would like to hear it. It's short. You're familiar with my previous suggestion. I actually winnowed it down because task forces or committees don't operate well in large numbers. It's difficult to schedule and difficult to manage. I suggest a moderator. I have two chiefs in particular because they're directly involved in the current issue, and that would be Chief O'Brien and Chief Schilling, who I have the highest respect for both. They would both be charged with communication with any other interested fire company. Delaware County leadership remains the same. I would still suggest Mike Frommer, who I know well and respect highly. The County 911 Director, Patrick Brandt, who I know of, I know his reputation. I have a respect for him. I have to say I've not met him. I'll fix that soon. The Business Operations and Financial Management Director, Brad Lutz, and perhaps one or two more would be my optimal suggestion. Do you have any questions of me?
Mr. John, when you came here last week, I made the comment that after Thanksgiving, we would get together and have that conversation. I still plan on doing that.
Good.
So,
Well, you know, you're modifying your suggestion for the task force?
To what I've put on the record, which I'm willing to
Sure.
support.
I do think at least we should discuss this now. We are in open session, which is appropriate.
well, I think we can discuss it. We're going to be talking about EMS at the conclusion of
the
the meeting, so
conclusion.
I
Okay.
think it'd be more appropriate, because we really aren't doing
Okay.
that between speakers, so I think.
Sure, okay, sure,
Thank you all for your time and
okay,
attention.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and first of all, I want to say thank you to all the speakers. You're all, I thought, very professional and very passionate, which I understand and respect, and these things are never easy for anyone, for us as we make our evaluation, and for you as you feel affected by it, and it's, and we'll have more conversations as we get to the latter part of the meeting here. So with that, let's proceed. We're going to be having a Sure.
I came to the last meeting, I didn't know I had to sign up to speak, and I signed up to speak. I asked the lady at the front desk, was everything filled out properly? And now, as a 45-year resident, I would like to speak. It's not going to be a long speech.
Well, I'm sorry, the rules are the 3 speakers, so we've already had that conversation, so I'm sorry.
I feel denied.
Well, I apologize for that. With that, we're going to move forward. I'm pretty sure the Fairgrounds did not expect a big audience today, but they're going to give us a presentation on the building projects you have. Is that correct?
Hi, I'm Pat Pakoff, 2779 Peachblow Road. I'm here representing the Delaware County Fair Board, and I'm just going to give you just a quick rundown where we are. A lot of studies have been done. Comprehensive planning has been done. Several meetings with the City of Delaware, the Planning Commission, David Eflin, architects, Fair Board members and committees. And we are proposing that we move ahead with our first building, which we have, Fair Manager Sandy Kuhn. That is an illustration of our first building. That will be the Delaware County Ag Center, which hosts a 12,000 square foot 4-H portion, offices, and Ag Hall of Fame, built for now and in the future. It's 24,000 square feet. It's a clear span steel building, heat, air conditioned. We think a lot of planning has gone into this building, a lot of input. And the reason we're here today is to ask the commissioner's support and ask for a signature on a zoning permit for the city of Delaware. This is just the first of many buildings. We've also looked at looking at a covered arena for the 4-H arena and several animal barns to follow this one.
I think we're all excited about seeing the first building come out of the ground. There's been some other work done up there on bathrooms and things that you don't see, and it's not visible to you, but this is exciting. Commissioner Ben, Commissioner Lewis, you have any? You want to?
No, I can't wait.
Yeah, there's been a tremendous amount of work that's
Yeah.
been done, and you are correct, Commissioner Merrill. It's nothing that is appealing to the eye. Most of it is underground. And while we appreciate the work that we've done and that makes things work, it's nothing that you can see, but we are ready. We've been through several studies, and we are very confident as a board that this is what we promised, and this is the first building of many, and we're ready to proceed.
I hope most of you make it to the county fair. It's I always enjoy going, and it's a great county fair, but it is a fair that has some need for repair, and this is a good step.
It has a lot of needs. We'll give you that.
I was trying to find a polite way to say it.
But we are definitely on the right track. We are excited, and we're excited for the community and for the 4-H and the animal groups' activities, and just the pure economic driver for Delaware County. This will be a fantastic thing.
Pat, I think you said it was 24,000 square feet?
Yes.
Is it, and doesn't it have two components to it, or with a center office area?
Yes. Actually, Commissioner Benton, the west end will be the 4-H side with storage, and then the middle section, which as you see is the elevated.
Bring that up here so everybody can kind of see
The
it.
elevated section,
Maybe
that
in
is
the corner.
actually the entrance, which is the Agricultural Hall of Fame. That's where the,
This will be the Hall of Fame. That's the
Okay.
Hall of Fame.
Okay.
This is the bigger area, and then this will be the office area. So
Okay.
this will be for still 4-H exhibits during the fair.
Okay.
Okay.
And it is year-round?
it is a year-round facility.
Yeah. That's a big step forward.
Yes,
'Cause-
absolutely. We have essentially no year-round facilities at the fairgrounds today,
Yeah,
except for maybe our office and the log cabin would be the only two.
yeah, which is the oldest.
This will
one.
be the first facility that the 4-H will actually be able to have events in it, training and school and education, and that has been on the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
First climate-controlled building.
And it goes where the junior fair building is
It
today?
does. Yes, I'm sorry. It goes where the existing building is, so the view that you're looking at right now would be heading east on Pennsylvania Avenue. That's what you would see.
Okay.
It's missing some trees and things that are already there, but that's essentially the view of the building.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a huge step forward, to have that building. Now, do you think it'll be ready by the fair time?
I was going to ask that question.
You're going to try.
We're going to have it under construction, and we would like to have it under construction. We're jumping through some hoops that
Yeah.
I don't think any fairgrounds has been through. No one has done a project like this that we had studied. It's been done in other ways. We are looking at some alternatives on this building and maybe the future buildings to get them up. But it depends on contractors and bidding and where the prices come in and where the negotiations are. That's a hard promise to make, but it will be under construction. And hopefully that would be a yes, but I can't commit to that.
I understand that. But where are you in the process then? I know the architects have to finish their design work, then the
Yes, we
blueprints
are, we're here today to ask for a signature for the zoning permit to go to the city, to go through the planning commission, and then through the city council to be approved. We are getting ready to put out our bids for architectural services. And then from there, we will be putting out the bid for the building itself, building and construction.
I would like to thank you. I know you have spent many, many hours on this.
Thank you.
And you're a volunteer, and Sandy, Don, et cetera. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's that spent so much time on this. The Fair Board, this is a huge step forward. I mean, the bed tax is funding it, which is great, because our fairgrounds really needed a lot of work.
It's been a little challenging, but I think that's what makes it fun for everybody. I have our board president, Mr. Don Howard, here today, and our fair manager, Sandy Kuhn, and board member, Jackie Kauflesh. I'm not sure if anyone else is here from the fair board, but everybody works so hard. It is. We're not a paid staff. We do this all for free, and everybody dedicates a ton of their time to the fairground activities, and we do it for the betterment of the county and the kids and as a community as a whole. And we're very excited about what the fairgrounds is going to look like in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I know you're working on some barns, which will be year-round
Yes.
barns, which can generate stable revenue, which helps fund the construction and the maintenance and so on, and
Yeah.
attracts more activity and more.
Long-term goal for the fairgrounds is we've become self-sustaining with some of the projects that the county commissioners have been involved with. Cutting our utility costs have been huge. The water line project is, it's already paid for itself, I'm sure. But everything that we do is measured for success for the fairgrounds, for long-term sustainability, and it's working. It's only going to get better.
And again, I want to thank everybody who's been involved with us, the volunteers, the board, Sandy, and again, we're making this a showcase, for Delaware County. We'll really be proud of, and I want to thank you all for doing that.
We definitely are, and we feel that through our studies, we've found that it's something for everyone. I mean, we've taken into consideration just our fire and EMS services during the fair, the deputies' facilities during the fair. We're addressing safety concerns for 2018, ingress, egress, safety, everything that we have planned is geared toward 2018 and beyond.
Very good. Commissioner Lewis, do you have anything you want to add?
No, just thank you. Great job.
Thank you for your
It'd be
support.
Great if it were done, and I know you know that by fair time, but I'm sure there's a lot. So good luck.
A lot of work, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you to all of you
Yes,
came from the fair today.
yes.
Very much appreciated. We were curious of how we were progressing, and it's good to hear to see we're
Nice to see the picture, too.
on the ground.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I believe we have a resolution related to this issue.
We do. Resolution number 18-1317, in the matter of approving and authorizing the county administrator to execute an application to the city of Delaware for combined preliminary and final development plan approval for the Junior Fair Ag Center building at the Delaware County Fairgrounds.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? I think we pretty well covered it. So
Yeah.
Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1317. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1318, in the matter of approving purchase orders that announce certificates and payments and awards in batch number CMA-PR 1128 and memo transfers in batch number MCA-PR 1128.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1318. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1319, in the matter of approving travel expense requests.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1319. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1320, in the matter of canceling the session scheduled for Monday, December 24th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Obviously, that's Christmas Eve, so I think that has something to do with
A
that.
little bit.
Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1320. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1321, in the matter of approving an additional paid time off for employees of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1321. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1322, in the matter of establishing a new fund, approving supplemental appropriations, approving transfer of appropriations, and transfer of funds to the auditor's office.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. George Kaisa, Delaware County Auditor. Commissioners, this resolution has a number of moving parts, but they kind of group into four major areas. The first is the creation of an excess foreclosure fund for the to be administered by the county treasurer. That fund is able to receive unclaimed funds from foreclosures after a period of 3 years. In other words, if the funds have not been claimed within 3 years, then they could be transferred to this excess foreclosure fund to fund activities with the land reutilization organization. That's the first piece. The second piece are supplemental appropriations for the unclaimed funds to be able to make transfers that I'll mention later in the resolution, as well as a supplemental appropriation for the real estate assessment fund. That will be to return real estate assessment fees to the various political jurisdictions that are not needed. We do that at the end of each 6-year reappraisal cycle. If there are funds left over, then return those dollars to the various political subdivisions. The third portion of this resolution is the transfer of appropriations for 3 org keys within the county auditor's office. Those are just adjustments where we anticipate shortfalls before the end of the year. So we're simply moving some appropriations around to cover those shortfalls. And then the fourth part of that resolution is the actual authorization to transfer funds from the unclaimed funds to the county's general fund, as well as the excess foreclosure fund. For the county's general fund, any unclaimed funds that have been unclaimed for a period of 5 years are returned to the county's general fund, and we will be returning $11,753.47 to the general fund from that. And then with the creation of the excess foreclosure fund that will be administered by County Treasurer John Peterson, we will be transferring $179,839 for use with the land bank program that Mr. Peterson has initiated. So that is, as I say, it has a number of parts to it, but that's an overview of that resolution, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the source of the funds is. The unclaimed funds. Could you explain that a little?
Yes. Any time there is a foreclosure action
Initiated by the treasurer?
By the treasurer or by a bank, and then it goes through court proceedings, and the court then allocates funds. How that foreclosure sale, how the funds from that foreclosure sale will be distributed, typically first to any county property taxes, then, to the bank, and then if there's anything
Creditors.
left over, then that goes to the property owner. And and that distribution is established by the court. And then if those funds are unclaimed, in the case of the excess foreclosure fund, there's a 3-year time limit there. And so if they're not claimed within 3 years, then they can be moved into this fund that will be administered by the county treasurer. If they are there for 5 years, then it's moved back to the county's general fund. But it is those funds where someone has gone through a foreclosure action and they've never claimed what was.
I guess you would assume in most foreclosures, the bank could be on top of it and there's not an excess of money, but occasionally there apparently is.
Well, it's, the bank gets their share, but this would be any excess that is left after everyone has been paid, and this would go to the property owner that is in foreclosure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
This has been accumulated over a period of years?
Yes, we could, of course, fortunately, foreclosure actions have dropped off significantly since from the period from 2010 through 2013. But yes, it does. I mean, whenever there's a foreclosure action, then we pick up some additional funds.
Other questions or comments? Vote?
Vote on motion 18-1322. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come anytime, George, with that report.
Yeah.
Boy. Thank you.
Resolution number 18-1323, in the matter of approving a transfer of appropriation for the Board of Elections.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? To our favorite people.
Hi. It's been a while since we've seen you.
Less than 24 hours, budget meeting
Yes, hi,
yesterday.
I'm Carla Herron, and I'm here with Anthony Sadie. We're the directors of the Board of Elections. And we need to transfer money into our salary line as well as benefits to cover for the rest of the year. I know you're aware, but we had this special congressional election in August where we had the vote center open for 30 days, and we did get reimbursement from the state. However, it went back to the general fund, so we do have a shortfall in our salary line item as well. Because of the August special election, many of our poll workers went over the $600 limit, and we had to put, currently we have 41 of our poll workers we had to put on payroll. Sorry, George, we've caused your staff a lot of work filling out all the payroll, but that was a challenge to staff as well. But we now have 41 poll workers on our payroll as well.
I'll make a comment. They've heard this before, and many of you may not know these two people. One represents the Republican Party, one represents the Democratic Party. That's the nature of things. In my opinion, we have the best Board of Elections in the state. They do an outstanding job. And we should be very proud of that. I think the quality of the elections we have in our county, and I think we can all go to bed at night knowing it was done accurately. So, and they've heard that before, but since many of you here may not know these two individuals, I thought it was worth saying. So,
Thank you, Commissioner.
thank you.
It means a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1323. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Resolution number 18-1324, in the matter of awarding the contract and approving the consulting agreement with Cellsite Capital LLC for the project known as Cellular Site Plan Development and Administration.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Bob Lamb, Economic Development Director for the county. Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. Before you is a request to approve a $72,000 agreement to move forward with cellular service consulting services within the county to help facilitate the development of a network that will meet tomorrow's needs, namely addressing the 5G technology that is coming out. As part of that, we'll also be looking how to expand the fiber network throughout the county. The consulting contract is really broken into two main portions. One, the development of that long-term plan that will position us to meet the needs of the community for the future while taking financially responsible steps to do so. Second, establishing key policies, procedures, and regulations that will promote private sector investment within the county for the cellular development while making sure we address the community benefits associated with such development and making sure that aesthetic concerns are also properly addressed. At the end of the day, what we're looking at is a change within the fiber network to a stronger 5G facilitated service. And as a economic development growth occurs within the county, that 5G network will be more and more critical. Today, what we see is a critical need for fiber to support businesses. Tomorrow, it will be a 5G network. This plan will help position us in a manner that we'll be able to address as that technology becomes available in 2021 and 2022 for market conditions. Be happy to answer any questions that you have on this item at this time.
Any questions?
Yeah, if you could just describe just briefly what cell site will do, what their duties will be, and the revenue that we expect to generate from this activity.
Yes, they'll be looking at several things, but one of the things directly related to potential revenue for the county is a survey of all of the existing county resources, land, buildings that can be properly positioned to help facilitate that overall cellular network, and making sure that as we enter into leases with the various private companies that build and maintain and run these, such as Verizon or AT&T and others, that we are making sure that the county is recouping market rate revenues from those investments, and that we are not entering into agreements that would be lower than market rate agreements for lease of space on land or buildings.
Yeah, and again, I know this is key for getting 5G technology deployed And 5G technology is very important for economic development in the county, and as you said, so this is a great step forward.
Thank you. And one of the key items to highlight within the difference between the 5G network and what we currently have available today is when you look at speeds of processing right now, it's taking about 3 minutes to download, say, a video or information. Once 5G network is introduced, it'll be about 3 seconds.
This will also help get service to areas of the county that are underserved right now.
Yes, as part of the expansion of a 5G plan, critical to that is a strong fiber backbone. This plan will look at how do we expand fiber services throughout the county, both in the more urbanized and in the more rural areas, with a main target on how do we reach out to existing government-owned facilities throughout the county to connect them to fiber networks.
Thank you. Commissioners, you have anything?
No?
With that, vote.
Vote on motion 18-1324. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Bitton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1325, in the matter of appointing a member to the Delaware County Law Library Resources Board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jane Hawes, Director of Communications. This is hopefully one of the last batches. I tried to bundle it for you with a bunch of appointments to boards today. Should be the last for a while. So this one is the Law Library Resources Board, which is going to be a very important board as we anticipate changes in the future with where people are located. So we are recommending William Curley for appointment to the board, and we ask for your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1325. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Bitton?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1326, in the matter of reappointing a member to the Delaware County Convention and Visitors Bureau.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
This one before you is asking to reappoint Amy Tillinghast, who has been our representative for the last year and a half, filling an unexpired term, and this would be to appoint her to a full term now. We ask for your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1326. Mr. Bitton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 18-1327, in the matter of re-electing members of the Delaware County Volunteer Peace Officers Dependents Fund Board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
And this one is to reelect Sheriff Russ Martin and Brad Ewens, who have been our representatives on this board. They're willing to continue their service on the board, and we ask for your approval.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1327. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Bitton?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 18-1328, in the matter of approving a supplemental appropriation.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Lewis, seconded by Commissioner Benton. Discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Karen First, Fiscal Manager. This appropriation is needed to charge drainage petition costs back to the individual ditch projects.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 18-1328. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Bitton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye. With that, that brings us to Michael Fromer, our County Administrator, and do you have anything else before we discuss the topic of VMS?
No, I do not.
Okay, I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, to start off your discussion with EMS, I've asked Chief Schuling to come and provide some remarks. I think one of the folks that spoke earlier mentioned, information and that's out there. So I think it's important that he provide a little bit of information about Delaware County EMS. So.
Thank you, Mr. Frommer. Morning, Commissioners. Chief Schuling, Delaware County MS. Obviously, this topic has been a very heated debate on whether or not we should move forward, and I'd like to address some concerns that I have with some miscommunication, misrepresentation within various things that have been stated. First, let me say that my number one job is to assure, first and foremost, the citizens and the taxpayers of this county that the EMS that is being provided to them is 100% above board. It's easy for me to stand in front of you guys today and say, absolutely, we are number one, we're number one. We have accolades and awards. But to put our money where our mouth is, in 2012, we approached this board and asked for an independent agency to evaluate Delaware County EMS. That's been done several times since. There are several accrediting agencies in the United States, the first one being that we chose is the Commission on Accreditation of Ambulance Services. They're represented by the American Ambulance Association and established 250 specific points to evaluate EMS services in the United States. This evaluation assures the elected officials and the constituents that we serve that we have gone through absolute scrutiny in evaluating our system. It's been likened to allowing us to opening up our closets and allowing somebody else to come in and inspect us, being certain that we are functioning appropriately. We are evaluated on our organization as a whole, our structure and command system, interagency relations, financial management, community relations and public affairs, human resources, clinical standards, safety and risk management, our equipment and our facilities, as well as our communication services. We are very fortunate in this county that we have the support that we have, both internally and externally, to support the stakeholders that need and use our EMS system. I speak not only for myself, but I speak for the other departments in this county that the number one goal that all of us have is to make certain that the people that need us, the visitors and residents of this county, are receiving cutting-edge technology and state-of-the-art care in the best possible manner that we have. Notwithstanding the funding model that exists and where that money should be going, I'm here to assure the board and our Board of Commissioners, as well as all of our constituents and visitors, that when they are here in Delaware County, they're receiving the best service regardless of who that is from. There's been much discussion and speak about the Fitch study. I feel wholeheartedly that this has been something that has been misrepresented and miscommunicated and misunderstood solely. Excuse me, I've been fighting off a cold for almost 3 weeks now. There have been several studies that have been done, including the CAS accreditation that evaluates the department. Commissioner Benton's study that was largely financial, as well as the Fitch study. As I approached the board for many years, I've asked for multiple things, and how do we grow as a department? Either we move stations, build stations, our fleet and our asset management. It's very important to us to know that we have the best that we can possibly offer this county. The Fitch and Associates, specifically Jay Fitch and his team, are internationally renowned evaluating consultants that specify in the medicine and emergency medicine as well as the fire service, and they've evaluated many, many systems throughout the United States. Pinellas County is one of the perfect examples if we want to look deeply into this specific subject. Their system is much like ours. We've heard, and you've been told, the Delaware County EMS has only passed 14 of the 50 benchmarks within the study. And I want to make certain that there's absolute clarity in this, that the system is not just Delaware County EMS, but it is Delaware County EMS providers as a whole. Most specifically, Delaware County EMS under the Board of Commissioners, Delaware City, and Liberty Township Fire Department. Statutorily, the Board of Commissioners is required to offer an EMS service that is countywide. That's no boundaries, that's no townships. That means we cover and we provide that service countywide. That is a statutory requirement. Since the very inception of EMS, we have partnered with Liberty Township and Delaware City to provide this. In these areas, we've continued to grow and the population has grown as well. Notwithstanding the question of who should be offering EMS in these areas, we always continue to strive forward with the best EMS that we could possibly provide. And I know that myself and the other chiefs standing behind me stand in unison to work towards that, to that end. The problem with the study that we continue to debate is the 14 out of 50. The problem with this stems from service agreements that are that lose sight of what we're trying to do. Fractile response time reporting, singular medical direction, and policy protocol driven from our patient-centric devices is what we're trying to accomplish. The goal of county EMS is very simple, and I know that I echo the sentiments of the Board of Commissioners, and that's to take the opportunities that have been presented to us from these multiple studies to grow our system as a whole in this county. Be that 100% with Delaware County EMS under the Board of Commissioners, or with partnerships throughout the county. That is our goal. We have these opportunities that we've been looking at for 46 years to grow our department, and now's the time to make those decisions so that we can continue to grow wholeheartedly. My recommendations to you are to listen to the institutional knowledge that exists, to evaluate the task force, if we will, from the studies that have already been taking place, and embrace those and move forward with what we have. We want to have absolutely a patient-centric, quality-controlled, and quality-control-driven system that continues to grow to meet the demands and the needs of our community. We feel, and I feel wholeheartedly with my command staff, that this is outcome-driven by common medical direction, common protocols, common reporting, direct oversight under the Board of Commissioners, as well as strict and evolving training driven by the common quality assurance. Again, I'm here today to assure the residents and the constituents and visitors, as well as the Board of Commissioners, my bosses, that your EMS system is functioning at the highest capacity that can, recognizing that there are some inefficiencies that do exist, but we are correcting every one of those and moving forward with that. A lot has been said about the 3-person ambulances versus 2-person ambulances. I think it's important to note that the national and international standard is a 2-paramedic ambulance, period. Many studies have been conducted to show that there is no greater care offered by 3 paramedics than there is by 2. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on this topic or anybody's in the room.
Mike, could you estimate how many times I've met with you over the last, say, 4 years talking about the improvement of Delaware County EMS?
Probably 3 times.
All right.
That's just an estimate.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just deciding how best to do that. I guess if we're going to open up to questions, do you want to come up? You need to come up here and introduce yourself. That's the reason I was hesitating. Repeat.
Shalika Clark, 9132 State Route 521, Sunbury, Ohio. I'm here representing a resident of Northern Delaware County. You asked a question about 2-man medics to one I asked.
Get closer to the mic.
Are we going to have 2 medics on the trucks, or is it going to be basic medic? Where are you moving forward to? What's your plan?
That's a great question, Shalika, and I'd love to address that. Delaware County EMS has approximately 125 employees, give or take, through natural attrition. All of our employees at Delaware County EMS are advanced life support paramedics, with the exception of 3 intermediate or advanced EMT certified individuals. But largely, to answer your question, Shalika, all of our ambulances will have 2 paramedics on them at all times.
There was just a rumor out there.
Certainly, that is certainly a rumor, but that's nothing that we have moved forward with yet.
But is
the catch to that is as we move forward, we feel that there should be, our primary response from Delaware County EMS will always be paramedic advanced life support services. There has been discussion regarding basic transport services for other areas in the county, not 911 emergency calls. That is where that has stemmed from.
Can you explain that?
I'm going to need you to come. Again, Mike, you kind of opened this up, so we'll.
Wendy Scarcella, 4690 Millwater Drive, Powell, and my question was, can you explain that? I have a critically ill child who has had Liberty Township to our house. When we lived in Concord Township, we had med flight at our residence who would land and pick her up and take her out. So that concerns me, your yet and paramedics. If you could expand on that.
Absolutely. A goal that the county EMS and nationwide we strive for is tiered response through call interrogation. This has been a topic of discussion for many years now, and how we move forward with that. Something that our 911 system is already conducting is call interrogation to evaluate the specific needs of that patient. Once the advanced life support responders would arrive on scene, they would make an evaluation of whether or not that would be a transport that's needed by an advanced life support service or through a basic transport. Many times we tie up an advanced life support unit that may be needed to respond to your specific situation when they are transporting us. I'm going to use the term a stub toe, but that's probably not the case. But some circumstances we don't need to tie up an advanced life support unit when that could be better served by a basic transport unit or a basic life support unit.
I'm going to make when you're talking, I realize the reason you're looking at the person, but we may not be picking you up. So,
sure.
So if he looks away, it's to be heard, not to be disrespectful. Did that answer your question?
It just stems to another question then.
Come on now.
Because I'm in this situation, this is my life. So are all rigs then staffed and sort of like held differently? Are there different stuff in different rigs?
No.
If that's your.
All of our ambulances currently are advanced life support, and they're identically stocked and staffed.
But in the description that you just stated, you said that there would be different responders for different situations. So if you have your stub toe, are you taking non-EMTs?
You'll always receive an advanced life support response in Delaware County.
Okay, and then what? You said in your model that you may then go to somebody who is not an advanced life support responder.
Correct.
So then does another rig come to you?
Yes.
While
In those circumstances, they may.
So then you have one advanced support rig with these judgment, for lack of a better term, at my residence, while these other 2 people are coming to my residence in a different rig, so you're then tying up 2 rigs with 4 people?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Did you get your question answered?
I did.
Okay.
Hi.
Well, you need to go introduce yourself.
My name is Shira Icorn. I live in Liberty Township in Palo, Ohio. I just want to, my question is, and thank you, because I know that, Delaware County EMS has won awards. I don't think that there's a challenge that you can provide great service. I guess my question is the fact of you're challenging that there should be, or it's okay by standards to have 2 medics in the truck. But my residents want 3. So I'm not sure, are you telling us that you should tell my residents that we should only have 2? Because what I know is that back in February, when my 16-year-old son was petrified, and I had to call 911, and those 3 medics came through my door, and I was in that ambulance, and I turned around and saw 2 medics working on my son, I thank God that there was 2 back there. And there is not any amount of money in this world that would have made me sit there and say, geez, I wish only 1 medic was back there. So I'm asking again, are you telling me, so my question is, are you telling my residents that we should accept 2 medics instead of 3?
The answer to your question, Trustee Icorn, is that through our study and evaluation, we feel that a 2 paramedic ambulance offers the highest level of efficiency to the constituents of Delaware County.
Does that study include
I need you to come up here. I'm not trying to put you down. I'm just getting over the microphone.
This is Marie Fulmer, 8701 Albury Court. Does the study include any residents' feedback in any way? People that actually have, life-threatening emergencies. Because I've been in a squad with 2 medics, and both the 2 medics going from Nationwide to Cincinnati Children's, the 2 medics that were lifeline medics, they didn't know where the equipment was on the squad. I almost lost my daughter with 2 medics in the squad. Watching that situation, I was in the back of the squad. So it's definitely important to have multiple medics because one isn't going to have all the answers. So there's a safety concern that people are missing unless you really go through this. And no disrespect to Delaware County, but I was at a mom's house in Delaware. Mom had a baby in distress. Called the squad.
Is there a question?
No, this was just a scenario. But it ties to the same level of service.
That's absolutely a great question, and Ms. Verla, I absolutely will address that. On face value, it's very easy to see that we only have 2 paramedics on an ambulance. However, with our model and these changes that I continue to talk about, increasing our quality and our ability to serve our communities, we're adding other vehicles. Currently, when another vehicle is needed at these places, the fire departments are operating engine medics or paramedic fire engines and rescues that have paramedics on them, which is a great system. However, we believe that we can offer a higher level of efficiency by adding quick response vehicles to these areas. So in the time that we may need a higher level of care to these areas, we will have an additional 2 more paramedics that are able to respond to that simultaneously.
I'm concerned with being also with the skill set of knowing the constituents and knowing their needs in a small community.
The evaluation done by Fitch and Associates certainly took all that into consideration and did meet with all of the fire chiefs and the fire services throughout the county multiple times.
Well, let me ask what I think the question is, and if I don't answer it correctly, just correct me. I think the question is being asked, is there any reason to believe that the quality or the service would be less, or the Delaware County would be less knowledgeable about the people in Powell or Liberty Township than the current situation? I think, is that kind of the question?
Yeah, I mean, you can phrase it a little differently. Do you agree that there would be a difference between firemen that know their constituents versus those that families that have the certain patients, if you will, with medical conditions, it makes a huge difference in a small community.
You're absolutely correct, and I will not dismiss that, and I will absolutely affirm what you're saying. There is something to say about the hometown team and supporting your own, but the point I want to make simply is that Delaware County EMS feels the exact same way about all of our communities in this county. We represent all of them equally. There is something to say about familiarity with the responders to the area. Certainly, I've had to use 911 myself in my own area, and seeing those people that I know is very, very comforting. But I will not dismiss, and I will underscore the fact that Delaware County EMS shares the same platforms to get that information, and we work in unison through our 911 and our EMA to make certain that we have the same information that they would have through the Delaware County Special Needs Registry. Furthermore, if you would allow me to finish, is that if we were to move into Liberty Township, and I say that with a very large if, our people would embrace the Liberty Township area just as the fire service would as well. I know that the gentlemen and the ladies behind me that are in fire and EMS in this county, we've said for many years that we don't care what color uniform you're wearing, what color the truck is, it makes no difference. We are doing the same thing. Our training is nearly identical, but there are inefficiencies that we're trying to solidify because I believe that cooperation and collaboration is the key to making certain that the taxpayers' dollars are spent efficiently and effectively, and we're putting that where it needs to be. All responders in this county, regardless of where they are, share that same desire.
I know, and the heart is there. I don't doubt that at all from fire and any EMS folks. But don't you think if you're sitting in my position and I have local stations that serve our area with the men who know it and women who know it, our community, and they're close and they're dedicated and our taxpayers paid for that right essentially, don't you think we would be putting more risks on ourselves to not have that availability to us and the 4-minute response of potentially a life-threatening illness? And could you look yourself in the mirror if somebody was to die because of that? Does the efficiency really matter?
You said a lot, if you weren't at the mics, that wasn't heard. Let me, again, we'll try to paraphrase. And I don't know the answer to this question, so you're not supposed to ask a question I don't know the answer to. The people that would be, we say if, the people that would be in these two fire stations, they tend to be the same people.
Yes, sir.
All the time.
The people would be assigned to that area.
Familiarity.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's also important to understand that Delaware County EMS is not the first to pioneer the two paramedic ambulances in Delaware County. We have 2 other fire departments that are currently operating in that model with quick response vehicles. It is a tried and true system, and it continues to work.
A lot of hands. I'm not sure how. I think this is probably helpful because it gets rid of some of the concerns.
Yeah.
I don't know who raised their hand first. I'm going to think it may have been you, and it may have been you, so I apologize.
That's fine.
Hi.
Your name and
Ohio. So Delaware County comprises all or part of 5 cities, 5 villages, and 19 townships. I cannot imagine the amount of schools that are encompassed in that area. We're talking about going countywide with an EMS system, and in your monologue, you said that your intention is to grow your department. My question to you is, Liberty Township has cross-trained firefighters, paramedics. They also have active aggressor, active shooter training, meaning they can go in with law enforcement while the scene is still active and start giving medical aid to victims. As I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have no training whatsoever, correct?
Incorrect.
Okay, can you expand on that?
Absolutely. In fact, Delaware County EMS has really taken the forefront on this. Lieutenant Dan Jivinen, I'm sure you guys have seen his name. You've heard me talk about Lieutenant Dan Jivinen multiple times. Dan Jivinen works with the Sheriff's Office. He is one of our tactical paramedics in the county. He's also a trainer through the Tactical Emergency Care System. All of our employees in Delaware County have gone through that training, every one of them. The exception to that would be 4 or 5 of our staff members, like myself. I haven't done that training myself yet. But yes, all of our employees have been through the active aggressor, active shooter training to deal with that specific situation. One of the breakdowns that we have is during the training modules and scenarios, many times Delaware County has not included that. Most recently, in the last 2 months, months, I talk about these inefficiencies. We've had several training opportunities throughout the county to participate in this, but we haven't been invited to it. As soon as we were made aware of that, we asked about it, and Assistant Chief Eric Burgess stepped into the plate and said, we need to be involved with this. But certainly, I will assure you that our people have gone through this arduous training.
Okay.
Certainly.
Just a second. So we can kind of keep this in some reasonable time frame. I've seen 4 hands go up, so hopefully we can maybe go with those 4. And you're one of those 4.
I'm sorry.
Oh, just, okay, come over here then.
I appreciate you taking all these questions, because we really, truly need them. I mean, this is what we needed to start with before we're at this path of what happened on Monday, and that's what's going to happen on next Monday. So I really appreciate that. My question is, and this is not an attack.
Oh, you get close to the mic, because I'm not sure you heard.
Do you have the equipment for everybody to do the active aggressor? Because currently, right now, every Liberty Township firefighter is certified with a vest, with a bullet plate for a high caliber weapon, and helmets to go into the hot or warm zones with the PD when we do this. So having training and not having the equipment is two different things. It's a great question. So I'm just, this is not
absolutely.
just asking.
No, that's a great question, Chalico. Delaware County, as the Board of Commissioners are well aware of this, we recently outfitted and custom fit all of our employees with body armor. We currently do not have the ballistic helmets in place yet, but we intend to do that in the next year. Obviously, because of the cost of that, when you're outfitting a large department such as County EMS, we're doing it piecemeal at this point.
Through next year, you expect to have it?
We're hoping. We've been seeking multiple grants to get this equipment, again, because of the cost of that.
There's 3 more questions, those 2, but he's been very patient. So he's been very patient. You're going to get, come up.
I wouldn't say patient, just not loud.
Okay.
My name is Dan Shade, Liberty Township resident in Powell, I guess actually in the township, not in the city proper. My question for the chief is, knowing the quality of service that you provide and assuming that it's excellent, and knowing the quality of service that our Liberty Township firefighters and EMS provide, and knowing that it is also excellent, but also adding to that we are well funded and have a full funding support of the township as a whole, with 75% of our township supporting the last levy. So spending efficiency is not really something that the township is considering. It's not something that the citizens are concerned about. We have the money to spend, and 75% of us want to spend it. So taking financial efficiency off the table and knowing that we're going to reduce the number of EMS professionals in our squads by 1, can you articulate any non-financial benefit of moving to having Delaware County, of eliminating our fire service? Is there a single non-financial benefit to that?
I don't know that I fully understand what you're asking me as far as that goes. Any of the financial questions, I would say, would probably be better served, better answered by the Board of Commissioners. I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to answer your question, by the Board of Trustees in Liberty Township. What I will offer you is that, and this is the stance of the argument, the cultural issues of EMS in the United States. If it's a fire-based EMS or an EMS-based EMS, a singular provider. There are 3 services in the state or the United States known as the thirds, or fire-based, fire, police, and EMS. Delaware County is not unique in saying that we are what's known as a third service provider. We do EMS and only EMS. Where the difference lies is that when there are other things, and we've said all along that our service is to augment the other fire departments in the area. That is to say that the fire department service, we believe wholeheartedly, is part of our system. That is to say that while they are fighting fires or doing rescue, they augment us to get to the patient care. One of our #1 concerns is that when we talk about the run cards, we still have ambulances driving past our stations to get to, quote unquote, their run areas. Furthermore, during the times when there may be firefighting or structure fires, we would rather not have the EMS encumbering fire department members from doing their job. That's not to say that they're not, and that's not an accusation they're not doing their job. But what I'm saying is that during times of structure fires, when in areas where Delaware County EMS might be third or fourth, or specifically, we looked at one this morning, in Liberty Township, we are the fifth responder in that area unless there's a structure fire, and then we become the second or in many times the first. Those are our concerns because we want to make certain that all of our, the constituents of Delaware County, the residents are receiving the same care all the time, regardless of what the emergency is.
So you're saying the benefit, if I can paraphrase and answer so I understand.
Try to ask the question as succinctly as possible, but you need to come up there with Mike.
So are you saying that our primary benefit would be better coordination at accident scenes or fire scenes?
No, I'm saying that while there is a structure fire or car accident, Delaware County EMS is not encumbered by offering fire suppression activities. We remain the primary EMS provider in Delaware County.
So how is that a benefit?
If your house is on fire, who's responding to your home or your neighbor's house if there's a heart attack?
Secondary agreements.
Secondary agreements, and that's Delaware County EMS.
Or Concord or Dublin.
Certainly, and I'm saying is that the benefit is still the same. There's not a reduction in services.
I'm not asking for reduction, I was looking for how is this better for?
Well, I would say that that would be better because you have a primary responder regardless of there's a structure fire or any other car accidents that might be involved with that. Delaware County is looking at the county as a whole and has the ability to go into a system status model very quickly and move equipment into specific areas as it's needed.
Can I just make a statement? You can say yes or no to it. In your opinion, is this level of service, I don't think anyone wants to grade anyone else's service. I think everyone's doing a great job. Is the quality of service less under this scenario?
No, the quality of service.
You'd say it'd be equal to?
Equal to or better.
We had two more hands, I think. Well, I guess we had three. Okay, lady first. Well, there's two ladies, but.
I'm sorry, I'm Sue Braden, and I live off of Seldom Seen in Liberty Township. I guess I misunderstood. Did you say that if your EMS people, technicians or whatever the term is, if they need assistance, you call on the fire department to bring a fire truck to you? Did I understand that? You said that you have a fire run come to assist you? Did I hear that?
No. I don't know what you're asking me now, I'm sorry.
Yes, it was what you said. In my
What, if you would, I would just ask you to rephrase the question so I understand what you're asking me. I'd be happy to answer it.
I just thought you had said that just a few minutes ago, that if you need additional help, or since you only have one person on a truck, if you need more help or with specific circumstances, that a fire truck, you call on a, I don't know what you call it, but a fire truck to come to you assist.
Mike, Eric, I think he may.
Go ahead, or I can.
Yeah, Eric.
Eric Burgess.
Assistant Chief Eric Burgess, Delaware County EMS.
Assistant Chief Eric Burgess, Delaware County EMS. I think maybe to answer your question, I think your question is that if an ambulance comes to your residence, if we would need additional help, then we would call for a fire truck.
That's what I thought I heard, yes.
Okay, so that, to answer that question, currently the way things are set up in Delaware County, that is a common practice, not only for Delaware County EMS, that the additional help comes from the fire department. That even takes place with the Liberty Township, Delaware City, Genoa Township, Orange Township. If you just pay attention on the radio a little bit, if you have an opportunity to do that, you'll hear a medic in an engine or a fire truck go on those calls for that additional help. If they're not needed, those fire personnel go back in service. So I think maybe.
So your answer to my question is yes.
Yes.
The fire truck may come, you may call upon a fire truck.
Correct.
A firefighting truck to come to the assistance of your EMS unit.
Every EMS unit. That includes current practice with Liberty Township, current practice with Delaware City, current practice with Genoa Township. That is currently the way that the system has been set up in Delaware County.
But now, are you saying that's what happens in Liberty Township?
Absolutely, yes.
Even though we have
and I
two?
think you guys could probably speak to that as well.
The problem here is it's political.
Right.
It's Delaware County EMS and Liberty Township Fire Department, Delaware City Fire
Genoa Township Fire, we all do the same job when it comes to running on EMS. We all utilize fire trucks.
You do.
To help each other. The problem is they don't want to, like I think Chief Schilling mentioned it in his first statement, the task force. But the professionals at the table, the guys that respond, men and women that respond to these emergencies, put them at the table for the solution, not politics. And I believe he said that without saying politics.
I agree.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I have one other point.
Question or point?
Question, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
I understand that the county-wide system may work very well, but when I look at, and nothing against the sheriff's department, but I live in Liberty Township, I understand that there is only one sheriff assigned to Liberty Township. Is that correct at any one given time? For all of our 30,000 residents or whatever it is we have?
I think the sheriff can better answer that question, but down at Orange Road, we have a location that has a number of sheriff's deputies that's very, very close to Liberty.
No, I'm saying Liberty Township. I believe we only,
Well, I can't answer that question. I think the sheriff would have to answer that
sheriff
question.
who is on patrol at any given time in our Liberty, now that wouldn't include Powell because they have their own police force, but Liberty Township itself.
That's a question I can't answer. I'm going to assume, I couldn't answer with integrity because I wouldn't be sure. But that's really unrelated to this issue, but I understand your.
Well, it isn't really because
Okay.
we're talking about the efficiency or how much it's going to be equal to what is existing now. And if we compare the Powell police policing their smaller area versus the sheriff patrolling all of Delaware County, including Liberty Township, I would challenge that if there's only one person, one police cruiser.
I'll make you a deal. I'll ask Mike Fromer to give it to the sheriff. Make sure he has your name and we'll get that answer to you.
But do you understand what I'm saying? That if in fact that's the lower amount of service that police service that we have in Liberty Township, might we expect the same more limited amount of service with the medical? That's what worries me. I'm just asking if that's the case.
I don't think that's the case, but we'll get you an answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
We have two more questions, and you might she goes first.
I have a really quick follow-up question to that. Obviously, when the medics go on, KCD, Palo, Ohio. Quick question, when the firemen and medics, when an EMS run is called, fire truck is sent with. If the countywide EMS is adopted and an LTFD truck goes on that EMS run with Delco, who covers gas, wear and tear on our trucks since we are no longer carrying that EMS run? And I don't know who that question should be posed to.
Chief Schilling?
So if I understand your question is, if we are calling for a support unit from the fire department, who would pay for the gas and the fuel?
And the wear and tear on the trucks, correct?
That would be the townships.
But that's currently happening right now, believe it, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So that
But
doesn't.
we're covering our own EMS runs right now, unless Delco has.
It's a partnership between Delaware County and Liberty Township for service agreement to provide EMS in Liberty Township. So Delaware County Board of Commissioners is actually funding a portion of the EMS services in Liberty Township. This is where we talk about expanding the department and growing it. The quick response vehicles would be adding to that area as well with 2 paramedics on that vehicle. So we would actually try to limit in the cases that we could so as not to tie up or encumber the firefighters from providing the other services that they need to.
But expanding trucks but not staffing.
I'm sorry?
So expanding the number of trucks but not staffing.
Well, it'd be expanding staffing as well. We would just be relocating.
2, not 3.
Correct.
You'd have staff in that vehicle.
Correct.
Okay, we have
She's been waiting.
2 more questions. And you're going to get your chance. Okay.
My name's Katie Steeman. I live on Clerkshaw Road in Powell, and I'm a Liberty Township resident. I'm also, I've been a clinical care nurse for 12 years and am finishing my master's degree in nursing. So I've read a lot about patient safety, patient outcomes, staffing. I myself have been on the other end of that as far as patient ratios in the ICU, what is a safe number and what is not. And I think as far as myself and my husband, who also works in critical care, that is our concern with decreasing the staffing that we have. You talked a lot about all the research and the patient outcomes. Obviously, hopefully the mortality or the patients, you know, how many patients live when you decrease the amount of staffing would remain the same. Can you tell me what the difference is with the morbidity? What kind of quality outcomes people are having when we decrease the ratios of staffing? I mean, you know, I think a lot of people are concerned with, yeah, am I going to make it to the hospital and live? But I myself worked on the stroke team, and a couple of those minutes can make a big difference. Having a couple extra people who are really knowledgeable and trained can make a difference between somebody who is living in a nursing home for the rest of their life and somebody who is walking out of the hospital. So that is my big concern is you've talked about the numbers and the studies. What are the studies showing with patient morbidity? What kind of differences are there between 2 providers and 3 providers on those trucks?
That is a fantastic question. I'm so glad it was raised. I'm going to speak as best I can to it, not having the studies in front of me. I would refer you to the Fitch and Associates study, which actually has all that information in it. But to answer your question, it's outcomes-based and performance-based. The studies that I'm aware of basically evaluated the time from access to 911, the arrival of the unit, and let me say in Delaware County as a whole, our response times are phenomenal, well within the 90th percentile nationwide. It's a testament to all the providers in this county, not just Delaware County MS. So there was no decrease in the number of minutes it took for 3 paramedics, 4 paramedics, or a 2-paramedic service, ALS service. The outcomes were obviously evaluated. For many years, you're well aware that we looked at how fast we got a patient to the hospital and whether or not they were alive when they got there, and we failed to look at whether or not they went home, and what was their quality of life afterwards. These recent studies that I'm aware of all take into consideration the outcomes-based medicine that I continue to talk about, rather than looking at emergency medicine. We're looking at medicine as a whole today. And as the chief of this department, I've said many times, while there is an emergency, we know that we can limit that down to about 3.8% of our runs. It's applying the medicine when we need to in a quick and variable manner to make certain that those people are going back home to their families. We have seen in this county a major increase of outcomes, positive outcomes, because of the medicine that we have here, as well as the incredible healthcare system we have in Central Ohio. So certainly taking all that information into consideration was not necessarily based in Delaware County, but throughout other areas in the United States, as well as Toronto, Canada.
Okay. Can you tell me, though, what the difference is in the outcomes? Like,
I don't have the information in front of me, so I would be happy to, again, I would steer you towards that information. I don't have it with me, so I'd be very remiss if I just said, yeah, that's this, that I don't know.
Maybe you can share information and he'll get with you after the meeting. There.
I'm sorry?
How do you get the Fitch study?
You'd have to make a public records request to our public information officer. We'd be happy to provide that information. And let me say very clearly that that study, while we had it conducted for our department, has not been adopted by the Board of Commissioners yet. So there's some variation to it, and as we would move forward, just to be very clear, I speak for the Board of Commissioners. I'm sorry?
We could contact you for the study.
Actually, all public records requests go through the Delaware County Director of Communications, Ms. Jane Halls.
If you give your email address to Sherry Friendly at the front desk, we can email it to you later today.
Okay.
Is the Fitch study a local group that does this research, or is that?
You're better off answering. It was a national group. Kansas City, is that right?
Not local?
Jay Fitch is, they have multiple locations throughout the United States. They're not local, no.
Was that your question?
No.
Well, come on down. I didn't think it was. I wanted to confirm.
Well, first off, this is not like picking a football team you want for the Super Bowl. I heard a comment today from a lady who said inferior, inferior, inferior. I think that's the first time anybody from Liberty Township called your EMS service or your fire service inferior. That's the ploy that's being used on us by somebody. We've had political promises made to us that they wouldn't do anything to affect our EMS service.
First of all,
that's what's happening. And
who said it was inferior? I didn't catch.
Miss Lonahan, when she was
I don't,
sitting here,
okay,
we said they were inferior. That's her word.
Okay, I missed that. I'll have to go back and
She
listen.
insulted Mrs. Falmer.
Could you do me a favor? Could you give us your name and address?
Okay. I thought you knew me.
For the record, I wanted to try to stop you, but
Okay. Larry Coolidge, 2559 Jewett Road, Powell, Ohio. I've been a resident up here for 45 years.
Thank you.
Just real quick, I was volunteer fire department. I was here when Liberty Township formed the first EMS service in a township. I went on a run one time, not as EMS, but as a firefighter. And I saw a girl with a fence post in her head from a reckless driver.
Your question.
Anyway, again, we're not pitting, we don't need to pit these two fire departments against each other. And I just don't want to end up being that. Last week, we talked about a task force, and I was waiting for that to form. I think we need a task force. I do not want this to be a political stepping stone for somebody trying to get to Congress.
Is there a question?
Yeah, there is a question.
Okay.
I want to know, when will a task force be formed? You said there would be one. I would like to be.
I'm going to comment on that, if I may, and she made that comment. In the meeting last week, I said I'd like to sit down with John after Thanksgiving. Frankly, he and I are getting together next week, early in the week. So I think that's about the best answer I can get you.
Why won't we do it publicly? Why does it have to be a...
Because I'd like to sit down and talk to him. Why can't I do that?
You can,
Okay.
you absolutely can, but I understand why we're not doing it
It
publicly.
at some point, it's going to come back and be public.
At some
Well,
point, it affect my residents, Commissioner
Yeah.
First,
Farrell.
I just asked to have that conversation. That's not unreasonable.
Well, what I'm going to suggest today, I think all the, and the comments have been great, and the back and forth has been great, and Shalako getting together with oh gosh, I probably butchered it again. Sorry. Anyway, but with, Mike has made great points. I mean, we do not, and you just made a great point too, Larry, regarding you don't want to, no one is saying one service is inferior. We have excellent service in Delaware County, but we need a task force now to make this service even better. And we have the experts that can be on this task force, and I'd like to suggest just a couple more people. I do believe, and I would never put him on the spot, George Kaitza would be an excellent addition to this task force if he would agree to be on it.
Our office would be willing to help and do whatever we can.
Oh, thank you. He would be, yes, well, exactly. I mean, no one is better than George. George is absolutely outstanding. Our triple bond ratings, I mean, he knows it all. And so I would put the John Benioff, the mayor, Mike Fromer, Patrick Brandt from 911, and Brad Lutz. Brad is our business operations person and also has a lot of financial expertise, Chief Schuling. And I know that you did mention Chief O'Brien. I guess I would think, because 80% of the EMS service is provided by cross-trained fire service, I would ask for one other volunteer. I'd ask for the cross-trained fire chiefs to get together and give us one other name as a volunteer. And I think there's a compelling case to add Tom Holman on too. What do you think?
Again, I said I'm sitting down with him next week. We'll have that conversation. You're welcome to have the same conversation as Commissioner Mission is. But That's what I think.
Let me rephrase this.
residents in there.
I want,
Again, I'm not saying,
Okay, I'm just asking a question.
yeah,
I don't-
I'd like to make a motion that we approve a blue ribbon EMS task force with the people who I have named, including Tom Holman, and would like a second. And this task force is going to be reporting back to us.
what is the sense of urgency to allow me the opportunity to sit down and ask the questions that he and I agreed to last week? We can have that motion next Thursday.
So are you taking the proposal off? Will you not be sending the proposal to the township then?
I'm sorry?
You're saying there's a sense of urgency, but you already sent the proposal down to us, or you're sending it. So are you going to hold the proposal until you meet with the mayor?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think,
That's the sense of urgency.
yeah, the sense of urgency is.
John wants to speak.
I'm not sure I have a question here. I'm going to try to be a calming force if I
Can I
can.
have a question answered first then? Are we going to stop the
No,
proposal from coming?
those two separate issues, okay?
No, it's
In
not.
my opinion.
Trustees can vote on it then.
Go ahead, John,
So
speak.
the answer is no. Is that from all the commissioners?
You asked my opinion, I give you my.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Lewis.
No, I don't. We voted the other day. I did not vote to send the proposal down, and we need to vote on a task force now. No, the proposal
Will you
should,
then stop sending the proposal down until after these meetings take place?
Proposal's been approved and been sent.
Okay, so the task force could still be done, and the trustees could pass to move forward with this without the meeting with you and the mayor. So there is a big sense of urgency.
May I? First of all, I want to articulate my deep sense of respect for all first responders and caregivers. I have gone through fire training in the Navy, scared the living crap out of me. Did it twice, scared the living crap out of me twice. So I mentioned earlier, I have no axe to grind, I have no knives to sharpen, I have no political agenda. I stated, about the oath and the safety, health, safety and welfare of the community, and I still stand here for that. I don't know that this board, this body has to move forward on anything without further analysis by, and I hope, Mike, that you would consider, and the others that have been mentioned, and anybody else that we can divine, and I'm willing to meet in any format, executive session or not, or whatever, or not be included, but I do think that the task force to do the analysis, like I said, in my business life, I never promoted any initiative without a deep analysis. And I'll make mention, I made a career out of the last half of my career at IBM on 15 minutes. I'll explain that to anybody that wants to ask, but I did efficiencies and productivity based on 15 minutes against 440,000 employees around the world. I had global responsibility, and I based everything on 15 minutes. I was called the 15-minute guy at headquarters because it was easy to understand. I really, really want everyone to know about my respect, and I don't believe we should be pitting anybody against one another either. I don't know that the cooperative model doesn't work. I believe it does. I don't know anybody's opinion, but I would leave that to a task force. If we can get to a task force, I would I would ask that the task force address that question, because it is a cooperative model. I think there are 5 or 6 independents. Gold plus Berlin and Genoa, Berlin and Concord are both independents, right? I'm talking about people that are providing their own EMS services.
Both EMS
Yeah.
and, yeah, I think there are about 6,
maybe 7 independent EMS services in the county. I don't know that that doesn't work. I don't know that it doesn't provide you know, when the people speak at 74.79%, and they say, we want 3 men in a truck, no pun intended. We want 3 men in a truck because of whatever benefits, and we know we're spending extra for that. If they want to do that, I'd say maybe let them. But again, I'll let the task force and the people come to a conclusion on that. I do believe the cooperative model works well, has worked well. There are other things that I would suggest, but again, not going to put my imprint on any recommendation because I don't think that would be fair as an elected official. I think that the non-political parties, experts, ought to come to some conclusion. I do want to make one other point, though. The reduction in force that has to happen for Liberty Township to realize a $4 million savings, which has been stated I believe it's been stated in this room, it has been stated in Liberty Township. To get to that, there would have to be a approximately 50% reduction in force of the fire department. Those people would mostly be EMTs, EMS services, but that would force what used to be rolling 4 units, 2 trucks and 2 ambulances to every event, and then the first guy there goes, it's not that big a deal going back home, or yeah, and oh, by the way, sound the other firehouse. I know that for a fact. I've been in the firehouse. I've heard those things. I am an involved individual, and I know what's going on in some of these spaces. Not an expert, and I don't play one on TV. But going from 4 to 3 has impacted the township. Nobody's died yet. But going to 2 fire trucks, I think could be a problem. And I've been told by some firemen that if they get to the house, it's fully engulfed and they don't have anybody to back them up, they're going to throw water at it and let it burn. Not let it burn, they're going to try to put it out, but from the inside. If Fluffy's not inside, if Grandma's not inside, they're going to do what they can from the outside. And that's because if you get down to 2 trucks, you're going to have that situation. And that's a direct result of this action, in my humble opinion. With that, I'll let it stand. I'm happy to meet with all, or whomever. My recommendation stands, and I'm happy to entertain. I would support a couple others, but I don't think that we should encumber the group build the group to a huge number, a couple ads in my humble opinion.
I think the group, as I mentioned it, is definitely big enough that it includes enough of the experts that, and then the thing is with the task force can reach out to, and should reach out to various people and gain expertise. But they already have, if they need more, they already have the expertise. They can also get input from citizens. They can get input from whomever they need.
I mentioned the last half of my career at IBM, I had global responsibility. I had task forces all the time, not all the time, but virtually all the time.
I think John would be ideal.
I'm not lobbying for that job.
Okay.
I wanted to make a comment.
Okay.
That's exactly the kind of thing you do. Bring some experts together, and then they leverage the people that they need to bring a consolidated, intelligent proposal
and
forward.
This task force would report back to us.
Yes.
And of course, that would all be public.
Do any of you have any questions of me? Again, I have the greatest respect for this body and everybody in here, and I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak.
I just have a real quick question, please.
Okay.
So I hear all this discussion about task force, I can't say the word, but I was under the impression that from watching the meeting last time you met, that you sent to the township trustees via your recommendation or your motion, a proposal which has actually been transported to them. Is that correct? So why are we discussing a task force? It's about a task force about something.
Yeah, we're discussing a task force because this issue needs to be.
But it's already taken place, Barb. It's already.
Well, no.
You have to undo what you did.
Right. There was a proposal that was sent by the two commissioners to Liberty Township.
Yeah, so you have to either.
That's just for Liberty. We need a county-wide task force.
But in order to help Liberty Township in this situation, you need to undo what you did last time. You need to have a motion, in my opinion, to stop what you did at the last meeting. Let's start over again. Let's slow down. There's no rush. There's no, what are we in a hurry to change things? I mean, things have been, the fire department's been there since 1803 or something, you know? So slow it down. That's all I'm asking. You know, we're all, you're my age. Take it easy. There's no rush. It's not a marathon.
I'm glad you said you and not me.
Well, now, you don't know. I'm 65, you know.
I thought you were 55.
There you go. But, you know, it's not a marathon. It's just a pace. Let's take it step by step.
Yeah, she makes a good
leaps
point.
And bounds.
Yeah.
Let me try to make a comment here. It is something I would have said later. I'll say it now. The proposal that went down there is, let me take a step back. We were asked to give a proposal, what if? Okay? We did that. Okay? Now, Liberty Township will have to take a look at it. They may look at it and say,
but they may look at it and vote on it.
May I finish? May I finish?
Sure.
They may look at it and say, we don't want to go this direction.
They may.
Okay? They may look at it and say, it has merit, but with some changes.
They may.
Okay? They may look at it and say, it looks perfect.
They will.
Okay.
Some of them will.
You don't know your
Would you please let me finish.
You don't know your politicians in Liberty Township, Gary.
Well, no, I'm just agreeing with you. I agree with you.
So then
They will.
Then it would come back here. And if I had gotten to the point, I would have said this later, I'll say it now. Then there will be an evaluation. Each commissioner will have to look at that and say, is this in the best interest of the county, of Liberty Township? Okay? I live in Liberty Township, guys.
Oh,
okay?
well, good for you. Welcome.
Okay? So it's not like I'm not part of this, okay? I have a vested interest in this. But it'll come back, and we're going to all look at it, and we're going to have to make our own evaluation whether this serves the best interest of Liberty Township and Delaware County. And if we may conclude that it doesn't, or we may conclude it does. So we're far from getting that resolved.
But let me just tell you, if I could, quickly.
Okay.
I was at the township meeting day before yesterday, I think it was, and it was stated there, I believe, that if they they didn't have the proposal at that time, I think they've gotten it in between then and now. But when they get that proposal, if they vote on it, and Melanie said it only takes 2 votes, if they vote on it, then you're obligated to provide it.
No, we're not.
That's what the township, that's what the trustees think.
I can't respond to things that I don't.
Well, let's make it clear, though, let's make it perfectly clear.
Okay, let me say it again. Okay, the other 2 commissioners can disagree with me. I don't think they will, but it will come back to this board. Again, we were asked, what if?
Right.
And I thought we have a responsibility to respond to a what if. Ultimately, we come back and we have to make that evaluation. Is it in the best interest of Liberty residents? Is it fiscally responsible? And all those questions.
Well, I think I personally feel relieved to know that if those 2 trustees who support it vote on it, I think the meeting is Monday. If they vote on it on Monday, that doesn't mean it's a done deal. It still comes back to your body, and you determine if you're going to go forward.
I was looking around to make sure I had 2 nods in agreement here. The answer is yes.
Well, let me just, we need to make that clear to the trustees.
Wait a minute.
The answer is yes. It's not approved until it comes back and it's approved by us. But go ahead.
Have you ever not approved it?
Well, the problem is, and this is why I will make a motion that we would delay the proposal until we decide on a task force. Let's do that. That'll take away.
That would be the logical thing to do. I mean, seriously.
I mean, they make a good point about.
But you've already sent the proposal.
Hurry up. Maybe we'll ask for it back.
As a business, okay, you guys all been in business.
Thank you.
You usually don't put a proposal out there that you're willing to do do.
Or-
And if you're putting a
You already have a
proposal out
motion
there
on the
that you're not
table.
going to do, why would you do it?
You're
without
right.
them knowing
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking. It's a simple question.
Okay.
I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying, usually, because you're saying, well, we have to, if it comes back, which it probably will, if it comes back, that you're going to analyze it. Well, wouldn't you analyze a proposal before you make a proposal as a business model?
That's what was agreed on.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Okay, I'll try.
I think Mark might want to say something.
There's a
He's
motion,
trying
there's a
to get his
motion on the
mic on.
floor, right?
I'm sorry.
There was a motion.
And there's been no
before Barb-
second, so
Yeah.
There was a motion on the Barb made another.
there's a motion on the floor, but
Right, there's a motion. My motion is to take back the proposal until we have a chance to form a task force and then reevaluate everything. We get the experts together, we get the proper people together, they report back to us, and we do it in a timely manner. The task force, I mean, I
is
definitely.
this a motion or a?
I'm making it, don't
Okay,
worry,
so
it'll
it's a
come
long-
out,
it's a
it'll
long-
come
there-
out, all right.
There was already a motion.
Yeah, I made,
About forming there was already a motion made to form this.
Right, a
And there was
task
no-
force.
The task force. Now, has that,
To
that-
rescind the.
Exactly.
You know.
Send it first.
that one needs to be acted on before. we
yeah,
can make a
let me,
notation.
that is true.
Is
That
there a
is true.
second?
Is there a second that we?
What are we talking about? We got
Okay, the motion, the first motion that I made a couple minutes
which
ago,
one was that?
right, was to form a task force as a blue ribbon task force, as I stipulated before with the people I mentioned. So then we would need a second to that motion.
Fails,
I guess
fails
there's
for the la- it fails
that,
for lack of a
okay, it
second.
fails.
on that motion?
Okay,
I just don't understand. I really.
I feel for you, I'm the same way. Go ahead.
I'm Jerry Bigo. I live on Winchcombe Drive in Liberty Township. And my question is, and I became new to this, unfortunately, just by going to a meeting last week, or actually 2 days ago. And so I came here just to get the facts and try to understand, what's really going on. But my question is around the task force, and it's for the commissioners, is what additional information? And so you mentioned earlier you need to talk to somebody. I'm not sure who that is personally, but
Well, okay,
no, let me finish my
okay,
question,
I'm sorry,
please.
go ahead.
What additional information do you guys need to be able to approve a task force or a group of folks to look at this with where there appears to be a lot of misinformation, right or wrong, across the community? I've heard different things just being in two different meetings, what was said in one meeting, which was what's said in another meeting. That makes it very unclear for me as a citizen to understand how do you make an intelligent decision around this for our community.
Okay.
And
okay,
it
go
seems
ahead.
that getting the experts involved before a proposal would go down, to hold off on that because it doesn't appear that there is a real sense of urgency that this needs to happen, is to get the right people involved to come back and look at both sides. So my point to you is, my question to you is, what's keeping you and what additional information do you need to make a decision to say, we ought to slow this down, we ought to pull the proposal back and take the recommendation of one of your commissioners to say, all right, let's do the task force. So I just wonder, what additional information do you need to do that? You mentioned you need to talk to somebody privately.
Okay,
What else?
May I give you the answer?
Yeah.
We're sitting here unilaterally, one commissioner is telling us who she thinks ought to be on the task force, okay? I'll give you an example. Should somebody from the northern counties be on the task force because they're affected by it? And that's the kind of dialogue I'd like to have before we get down to deciding who's going to be on the darn thing. And that is a reasonable request. And all I've asked is for a little time to have that dialogue. And that is reasonable.
So let me, can I finish,
So anyway,
I'm
just trying to respond to your question.
I think that's a very reasonable request. So isn't it possible in a resolution to say that we will do this with we're not going to approve we're going to come back and agree upon who the task force is going to be. Stop the proposal. I appreciate your comment. You're absolutely right. You want to be able to look and say, do we have the right representatives across the community that are impacted to be able to, provide the right expertise? That's very reasonable. Then the question is, if there's a resolution that says whether these people are right or not that you mentioned, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who they
Sure.
are. But you can do a resolution that basically says.
Well, that is
you can
true.
do that, and you can add some additional people based upon
I
agreement
could
by the
amend my resolution to say that the composition.
Your motion's already been failed from lack of a second.
Well,
So to that question, though.
Can make it again.
Well, to
and
that
I could
question,
make
though,
another motion.
if you were to, feel comfortable about that you would have the ability to make sure everybody's represented from the county for this, would there be any reason why we couldn't stop this, not stop it, delay this, take the proposal off, get the right people involved, and eliminate a lot of this misinformation, a lot of the angst that's happening across the community, and it just seems, to me, it just seems very reasonable. And I just asked the question, is there any other information that you'd need to make that decision?
I've already given you my answer, so.
So if there was a resolution that said that you were allowed.
I would not support it today, for the reason I just gave you.
Because you needed, just to clarify that, you mentioned that you wouldn't support it, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you wanted to make sure the right people were on the task force.
I've already given my answer. There's a question behind you.
Well, I will make a resolution then that I will move then that we do form a county EMS blue ribbon task force to look in and provide the most efficient, effective way to provide service as a whole to Delaware County. Is there a second to the motion?
Wow. You were
then
quick to second his motion for the proposal, but you're not quick to second the motion for.
There seems to be.
You're an executive from a banking system. You would never make a proposal that affected $4 million or laying off 18 people without coming up with a proposal, or without having a proposal first. You would have a task force that would review this. And then you would send it out to your other executives for their review. You wouldn't just hand it down to trustees in Liberty Township who you know for political gain are doing this for that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, as input to this, my suggestion is the idea of putting the proposal on hold is a good idea because I think there's a misunderstanding between Liberty Township trustees and your board as to what's going to happen if they pass that proposal.
Well, excuse me, I do understand that, but I just haven't had the chance, but go ahead.
And so I think that the safest thing to do is to put the proposal on hold until this can be hashed out, decide to form a task force or not. But within Liberty Township, there needs to be an opportunity for residents to discuss this with their trustees before that decision is made by the trustees. And I think we are asking for time to do that because we are uncomfortable with how it's been handled so far, honestly. There's been a lack of clear understanding of all the facts. I think getting the facts straight, having an open discussion at the township level before the trustees vote on the proposal is good and will help untangle things and perhaps, calm things down a little bit. And then we can, proceed rationally. Because right now, I think what's going to happen is that next Monday, that proposal is going to be accepted, and their expectations of what's going to happen next may be different than what we heard today. So I think there's some confusion that could be.
Well, I've been consistent all along on what I have said, so there should be no confusion.
Could I maybe add a little clarity to the proposal that was sent is, I attended October 1st maybe, trustee meeting. Let me back up. Back in July 25th, I think, was the date of the master plan draft. We sent it out to every township official, and city officials and everything in the county to get their feedback, stakeholder input, and get the feedback. We were asked to attend, I think it was an October 1st trustee meeting, and at that time there was a lot of debate and a lot of discussion, and it was asked at that time that the county prepare a proposal on what it'd look like for EMS service provided. It was two trustees it was, I don't know if there was a motion, but it was obviously a two, so then we came back here and Chief Schuling, we put together that proposal on what it would look like if that service was provided based on that request from the trustees. Okay, shared it with the commissioners, got their input. The proposal that was submitted was, it was basically a business point, bullet point on what the service would look like if Liberty Township wanted the county to provide it. From there, if they look at those, and we actually asked for information back from the township, a detailed analysis of some things back. The procedure would be, once we get that, if they approve that proposal, then there would be contract service negotiation agreements that, service agreements, we did one with Sunbury on a sewer, and we also did with Sunbury on a right-of-way break that took a year. Because you get into the detailed, a business point list of things, and then you go into the contract negotiation part and service agreement. So I think it seems like there's a feeling that if the proposal is accepted, that this happens over, then you go into the legal, I know there's a lot of people in here that deal with service contracts and stuff like that, and they're usually a very, that's when you get in and nail down and dot the I's, cross the T's, so to speak. So.
I do have to clarify one thing, though, and this is why the proposal should be withdrawn until we have a task force. If Liberty approves the task force, then because what's going to happen, as it's been mentioned, is the object, unfortunately, is to have the Liberty EMS service withdrawn for Liberty. The joint cross-train fire service would be, well, let's see, probably 15 to 18 people laid off.
Absolutely.
And so the problem is, once that decision is made, under the law, we in Delaware County are obligated to provide EMS service to Liberty Township. So there isn't, it's just, and I agree with Mike, I mean, there will be contracts and, there'll be negotiations in order to set this up, but the die is cast. If Liberty passes this on, just a second, if Liberty passes this Monday night, then, and you decide to you're going to cut $4 million, $3 million, I've heard different figures, you're going to lose your cross-trained EMS. And therefore, we, as a county, are and have to, under the law, provide EMS. So that's the pickle that we're in. And so that's why it's a good idea to have the task force first. And then if we continue, and if you still want to send the proposal sometime in the future, then you can do that. I don't favor that. But that's what's going to happen. That's the law.
We still have a motion on the floor for that.
Is that the way the law is? I mean, would that happen if they vote to cut the budget in Liberty Township? Would the county then have to take over this?
Yes.
Well, see, that's exactly what they said to me.
Yeah.
And to
You rescind that proposal.
No, that's not true.
It's not true that happened?
In any agreement, and once again, the proposal, and then once the agreement, if it got to the stage that an agreement was drafted, that agreement would come back to the commissioners for approval. I think that's what Commissioner Merrill was mentioning, that this approving the proposal is not setting in stone it's the last time that this board will talk about that agreement. So.
Well, what if they vote at the same time voted to eliminate the $4 million worth of expense, and that was to lay off the EMS people? Then who's going to provide our EMS?
You would be obligated by the county to do
Yes.
We would be obligated to do that. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you wouldn't be obligated to your proposal, correct? Because they can have full control whatever you want to do.
Again, I'm not an attorney, but under the scenario that's been outlined here, and I'm being theoretical, okay? If they did what you said tomorrow, okay? Whether there's a proposal or not, the county would have the same responsibility, okay? I don't foresee them doing that, okay? But the point I'm trying to make is, it really has nothing to do with the proposal.
Come to a meeting.
Are you gonna come to the meeting on Monday? I mean, I think it would be, honestly, I think it would help, just because to clarify what you're saying here today, because there are obviously some anxious people in this room. There are 18 anxious firemen out there to look at this right before the holidays. We've gone through this before, okay?
Or just as a Liberty Township resident, come to the meeting on Monday.
I don't know, I have to look at my schedule, but I didn't know, you think it's on Monday's schedule. You say it is, I don't know. Okay. Well, we need to get,
Why was this so imperative? Because if you two wanted to get this proposal out there, Monday morning?
first of all, you should be up there, but we need to move on.
Sure.
Okay.
But we've asked a request. There are 50 people that have been in this room to ask to have the proposal recalled, and I don't think that has been heard, tabled, or voted on. And as constituents of this county, some of us who have a dire need, and some of us who, I pray to God, you never have a need.
Didn't I move that
For
it be
this service,
rescinded?
we have asked for that to happen. And
I think I moved that it be rescinded, didn't I?
And
That,
Please make
however
very
we
clear to do
phrase
it.
that
Is that motion
legally.
still?
Didn't I make the motion
Okay.
that we should,
rescind.
yes,
They didn't
rescind the mo?
let them answer that.
Yeah, just a second. Just to restate the motion, I move that the proposal, yeah, I've already said this, that was sent to Liberty Township be rescinded, be called back. Is there a second? So, anyway,
Motion fails like this.
Can I ask this question?
do you want to say anything more about,
We got executive session.
yeah, okay,
So-
about
It's
considering
an
the
intention.
task force next week?
It's the 4 of them intention.
I've already made that clear.
Okay, that you'll
And I think I'm
consider
a little
it.
unfair on all this, but I've made it clear.
I'm going to explain
All right,
what
that
that
you'll
connection is
consider
if I
it
get
next
a
So,
seat.
we have need for executive session?
Yes. Resolution number 18-1329, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of employment or promotion of a public employee or public official.
So moved. Second.
Did they say, did they name her?
They did not. There was not a second.
But supposedly, we're not supposed to be
Vote.
rushing into this.
Vote on motion 18-1329. Mr. Benton. Mr. Merrill.
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis.
We're voting on executive session. Yeah.
So it's over?